Hello and welcome to the quick take here on the Fulhamish YouTube channel after Fulham's 4-0 defeat to Manchester City. At least it's sunny, otherwise it would have been a horrible, horrible day. Not the way that we'd have wanted to end the season, but then again, it's Manchester City. Jack's here, hello.
Hello, how are you?
Good, thank you. Is this your first time on the quick take this season?
This season, yes. We tried to do Arsenal, of course, and that didn't work. So, last home game of the season, so first appearance of the season on the quick take.
Oh, it's good to have you. Obviously, I wish it was in slightly better circumstances. I mean, I saw you pre-match, and I was a little bit optimistic. I was like, do you think we can do it, Jack? Can we get a point? And you said, no, I think we'll lose 3-0. You were very, very close. You were just a Issa Diop penalty away from being absolutely spot on. So you saw it coming, basically.
Yeah, I think it was one of those. I mean, considering the circumstances, the intensity that Manchester City were going to play against us today, the lineup they put out, I was just like, there is no chance in hell we get something from the game. However, the first 10 minutes were pretty good.
We bossed the first 10 minutes.
Yeah.
We, no one can take that away from us.
Yeah.
First 10 minutes, electric.
Yeah, and the atmosphere was really good. It's probably the best I've heard it this season, actually. I don't know why, but for 12:30, I think there's been a lot of chat during the week about, what Arsenal want from us and what we can bring to the game. And the fans were really up for it. The sun was out, everyone was in a great mood. So, I'm still in a great mood. I mean, the sun's still out, we're having a beer and a pizza later, so fantastic. But it was a disappointing performance. However, their first goal was exceptional. And all the other three were avoidable, which is frustrating. However, it is Manchester City. This is what they do. This is why they're going to win the title, and it just is what it is. It was a shame that we couldn't stamp some authority on the game and maybe get something from the game, but we have to realise who we're playing, and that's the best team in the world, probably.
I don't know about you. I find it thoroughly depressing. 16 consecutive defeats in a row to them. And I respect them. I know they're a very good team, and what Pep's built is amazing. But I don't find it fun. I don't think it's good for the league. It's a fourth league title they're going to win in a row. They're just utterly dominant. And every other team we play this season, whether it's Arsenal, Liverpool, United, Villa, I don't think that Fulham are going to win, but I feel like we have a chance. And there was just today an air of inevitability. And I don't know. I know that it's very cliche to say that City are boring. I don't necessarily think they're boring, but their dominance is boring.
There are periods in the game today and against Liverpool where the game was dead. And it was just basically they were going through the motions, had loads of the ball. We were basically just sitting back and trying to protect to not concede any more goals, and it just was very tedious to the point where I just started sitting down and sort of scrolling through my phone for a little bit, just going, oh, this game is up. But the thing is, this is what they do, and if you're a Manchester City fan having to watch that week in, week out, you're going to quite enjoy it because you basically just have the ball for the majority of the game, and then if you want to attack, you can attack. If you don't need to attack, you don't need to. In fact, today was perfect for City because they've got a game midweek against Spurs, and they took off De Bruyne, they took off all their key players and brought on all their bench, and it was perfect. However, we made it pretty easy for them at times. Obviously, the first 10 minutes was a little bit more intense from us. I think actually, the first 10 minutes I noticed that Robinson was getting targeted, as in every time the ball would go out to him, it would be quite difficult because there would be so many men. They got 2 or 3 men around Robinson, so he didn't get that freedom to burst into space. So obviously that's where the danger comes from us. And obviously Willian got the ball on the left-hand side a couple of times, but we couldn't really string a few passes together. We got into the final third. There was a touch in the box where Bobby had a touch in the box and he just missed it and he went out for a goal kick, and that was an opportunity. So with Manchester City, when you play Manchester City, when you get into the final third, you have to be perfect. Your touch has to be perfect. Your decision-making's got to be perfect. And today it just wasn't for us. We had one shot, one cross across the box, which Ederson parried. That was really it. Did we even have a shot in the whole game? I can't remember.
Well, yeah, as you say, that one in the second half, which kind of half rolled towards the goal at the Hammersmith end, might have been what counted as a shot. But yeah, if it did count as a shot, it wasn't really one in reality. I mean, there was one change. Bobby Decordova-Reid came in and then went on the right, which meant that Alex Iwobi dropped deep. Pereira was also very deep as well. It was quite an interesting tactical move from Silva, and in some ways it did work because Fulham seemed to have a foothold in the game in that opening 20 minutes. Obviously, once Gvardiol scores and then we're kind of having to chase the game, I felt like maybe the shape became less effective.
Yeah.
But I didn't mind it, didn't hate it. I quite like Iwobi in the middle rather than on the wing.
Yeah, Iwobi is a good. He's a strong runner with the ball, but there was just some times today where he just couldn't quite get the ball under his control, and he was still running, but he wasn't running at pace. He was just kind of strolling forward, and it really stifled the momentum of the attack, which was quite frustrating. And that was it. I think actually Muniz at times today held up the ball quite well.
Yeah.
However, the players around him weren't quite at it. And that meant that the attack would basically break down. Man City are machines at winning the ball back and overturning the ball, because that's what they've done week in, week out, year upon year. And you, again, like I say, you have to be perfect when you have those counter-attacking opportunities, and we just weren't. We just didn't have the capability to, when we did hold up the ball, bring others into play and get an attack going. And it's frustrating. We had a lot of nearly moments in the final third in the first half, a couple in the second half, but in the second half the game was done. It was a frustrating watch because you want to see your side be competitive. And against Liverpool we weren't, although we scored, we equalised, and against City we weren't, but against Arsenal and Spurs we beat them. So there are opportunities, there is quality to beat these big teams, but I think the gap, would you say that Man City were the best team you've seen here at Craven Cottage this season?
Oh,
surely.
By a mile, apart from maybe Crystal Palace, who
I was going to say
second.
Palace. I was going to say Palace were very much a close second. I mean, the last team that came to the Cottage pressed us really high, scored a really good goal. Elise was fantastic. If they had Eze on that pitch, we could have probably, and we would have lost that game. Adam Water, but look, this is the City game. I thought Vardy was fantastic, and the way he took that first goal was ridiculous. I mean, what on earth are you meant to do? You know, that's fantastic touch, fantastic finish. I'm fine with that. The Foden goal was a bit frustrating because Robinson got caught out. And then obviously there was a penalty, and the third, and then there was a third goal which kind of reminded me of a goal we conceded against them in lockdown. That ball comes over the top, and I think someone flicks it on. John Stones gets on the end of it and scores at the Putney end. It was just one of those games. It could have been offside, but it wasn't. I don't really have much to complain. They're just a good team. And look, it's the end of the season, and we've had a good season, and that's why the lap of honour, the fans appreciated the efforts that we put in this season, and that's the bigger picture. Now, don't concentrate on the fact that we've just lost 4-0. Concentrate on the fact that we've survived again in the Premier League. We've given the players a huge appreciation. Louis Boumorte's last game as well at the Cottage, Marco Silva. And when Marco Silva's walking around clapping the fans, I was thinking, this is really nice. I mean, this is what we wanted. Obviously, we lost today, but the bigger picture is we've had a good season. We're an established Premier League team, and I think that's why everyone here is happy, because that's exactly where we want to be.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I think bigger picture, 4-0 loss. Everyone expected to lose today. It was just a little bit disappointing the way it happened. I mean, just give your stat that you mentioned about penalties.
Yeah. So it's not mine. I saw it on Twitter. Someone tweeted it. In the last 8 times we've played Man City, we've conceded a penalty.
That's wild.
It's mental. I mean, the last-minute goal from Haaland last season. Haaland scored in the second minute last season. Obviously today, the FA Cup game, I think they got a penalty. They must have got a penalty in the 5-1. I don't even remember that. I think I was out the ground by then. But honestly, I mean, I can't remember all those games, but I can seem to remember they got one in lockdown when they beat us 3-0 under Parker. So,
I mean, there was absolutely no complaints about the penalty today. It was rash.
And very rash from Diop, who I thought had an okay game. But the thing is, he had made that one mistake where he sort of let Haaland in on the wide area because he wasn't. And there was so many instances today where Bobby was like, "Oh, I'm going to run inside," and then Stanley passed it on the outside. He went out for a throw, and just thinking, "Oh, what a waste of an opportunity that is!" And we just gifted them the ball back.
The problem is you get the ball against City,
and you panic.
And the moment you've got so little time, you have so few opportunities to get that ball that it has to be perfect. And I think mentally, it makes you rush it and panic. Whereas in a normal game against a normal Premier League team, you try things and you experiment, and if it doesn't come off, it's not the end of the world because you'll get the ball back in 20 seconds. But against City, it's going to be another 3 minutes until you get the ball back, which I think it's like a snake. It just strangles you slowly.
It's a fantastic way of describing it, actually. Honestly, they suffocate you. They don't let you have the ball. And when you do get the ball, De Bruyne presses you really high, Haaland presses you really high, Foden presses you really high, and it's gone. The moment's gone, and there's no momentum. And this is why, I think there was a general understanding from the Hammersmith end today, from where I was, that they're just going to have the ball, and you're just going to have to bide your time. But there was times where we weren't pressing them. We were just sort of giving them maybe too much respect, and there was a lot of frustration in the first half, and I thought that was fair enough, because a similar thing happened against Liverpool as well when the game got away from us. But look, we only played them twice per season. We've got 36 other games where we can stamp authority on every other team in this league. And I think we've done a pretty good job in doing that this season. We've beaten United, we've beaten Spurs, we've beaten Arsenal, and we've taken 4 points from Arsenal. And they're all saying, oh, well, Fulham couldn't do us a favour. Well, why couldn't you have just beaten us? It's not our fault. In fact, it's your fault that you're not going to win the league this season, because we got points out of you. So we are, like I said, we are capable of doing these things. And maybe one day we'll beat City. In like
a draw. I literally would just take a draw right now. 16 in a row, just like a lovely draw.
The fact it's the last home game of the season, you want to see a goal in front of the Hammersmith end. I think that's what everyone wants. But the thing is, like, you're playing Man City and you were 3-0 down, and actually, to be fair play to Marco to trying to switch off at half time, bring on 2 subs, which is quite unheard of when it comes to Marco Silva. He likes to make subs much later in the game, but to have Adama and TC come on, Adama gives us a much more attacking impetus. But again, he just couldn't get the ball out of his feet. It's really frustrating. But it's just one of those days.
And Jack, I guess we've got one game left. It's Luton away. Unless currently we're recording this, they were 1-0 up at West Ham, so it'd be interesting to see what happens in the end. Yeah. Whether they win, lose or draw, do you see Fulham getting anything out on the final day? Because if not, that does become quite a poor end of the season, likely to finish then 14th, which is not as high as it could have been, especially where we were in the international break and we just beaten Spurs.
Yeah, that's also very true. We've only won one game since then, which was West Ham away. I don't know. Actually, I looked at the beginning of the season when I was speaking to Joe about it on the Jack and Joe show, and we said that the run-in is really difficult. Our run-in to the end of the season is really, really difficult. So if we're down there, we're going to be in trouble. And it has sort of been reflected in those results. I think there have been results we've lost where we could have got more from the game. Newcastle, for sure. Crystal Palace, Sheffield United, we should have. And so I know that was a bit of a while ago, but it's just been, obviously I was there yesterday. Marco said, there's no way we're on the beach. We're going to fight for every single point. But sometimes game state and just the way that things pan out, there are just teams who have more things to play for, therefore they just up it a little bit. And obviously Manchester City had so much to play for today, and they produced a very, very good performance. The end of the season has been a worrying trend. However, there's been enough in some of those performances that gives me comfort that start of next season we can just roll on and hopefully go for a better finish than this season.
Yeah, I agree with you. Hopefully, there have been fleeting moments, even today, that first 10 minutes, there were moments in the Brentford game, even the second half against Palace, where actually you can see that in moments in games, this Fulham team can play, and that's what also is giving me a little bit of hope going into next season. I have no hope that we're going to get 3 points against Luton, because it will matter a lot more to them probably than it will to us. But even so, we're safe and we survived comfortably. There was no final day panic, and we do have to accept that. And not every year are you going to hit the 50 points like we did last year.
I think last season was a real momentum sort of boost, that we won the championship and then we just kept it going. And this season, Marco said it in an interview with Steve Sidwell on TNT Sports, this was a more important season because it's can we maintain that? And I don't think that finishing lower than we did last season means that we haven't maintained it. If anything, we've got better. We've got a better squad depth, we've got better results against the bigger teams, and we've got a striker in Muniz who wasn't looking like he was going to do anything like he's done in the last 3 months. I know obviously got taken off early today for Brozier, and I thought that was quite frustrating to maybe keep Muniz on for a little bit longer, see what he could do. However, this season's been on par with last season for me, definitely. It doesn't matter where we finish. I think that people look at the table and they go, oh, but we finished 14th. What are you missing out on? Maybe 10 more million in revenue from the TV broadcasting deal? It's not actually that deep from a fan's perspective. Maybe from a club's perspective it is. But that money's not going in our back pockets, it's just the club's. So it's not that bad. And I just think that, the quality of the Premier League is obviously better than it was when we were last here in the 13-year stint. To finish 14th out of 20, it's fine by me. It really is. Yeah.
All right, well, let us know what you thought of the game today down in the comments. If you haven't subscribed already, please do hit subscribe on the channel. And thank you for watching today. And Jack, thank you for being here.
No, thank you very much for having me. This has been great.
Enjoy the rest of your weekend. You Whites.